Hi all, welcome to the Polco Minute, where you hear the latest best practices and news in local government and civic engagement. I'm Angelica Waddell with this week's headlines. Our first article today covers the overshadowed plight of city budgets. According to Liz Farmer, at Route 50, many local governments have seen their financial difficulties upstaged by better than expected state revenues. Tax revenues have not plummeted as far as initially expected when the virus struck, as many higher wage earners have been able to keep their jobs. But according to the National League of Cities, there is still a collective revenue shortfall of $90 billion for this fiscal year alone. That's a steeper revenue decline than any recession in recent history, including the Great Depression. The CARES Act was passed nearly a year ago, but it only offered direct payments to state and local governments with populations of 500,000 or more. The CARES Act also heavily restricted how those larger cities could use those funds. In contrast, the current American Rescue Plan offers $350 billion in direct aid to states, localities, tribal governments, and territories. Aid will be delivered to governments with 50,000 or more residents and can be used to offset the revenue issues many cities are facing because of the pandemic. But according to some, city budgets were in trouble long before the pandemic struck, and for them, this federal aid may only serve as a band-aid to temporarily address larger budget issues. That's why many experts are urging local governments not to spend all of the funding only on today's problems. The after effects of COVID-19 will likely be felt for many years to come. The Congressional Budget Office predicts that the economy at large won't return to its full potential until 2025. And during that time, we will continue to see shifts in resident behavior that directly impact taxes and city revenues. Local governments are encouraged to invest some of the new federal aid in areas that promote long-term economic stability. This includes things like setting aside funds to help cover growing retiree healthcare costs and other post-employment benefits. Cities can also use the funding to pay for long overdue investments in infrastructure. Things like broadband upgrades or drinking water and sewer projects may be the best answers for some of the new federal funds. Our next article today is a case study on the village of Niles, Illinois. There, local leaders regularly use data from the National Community Survey to gather feedback from residents. That feedback is used to develop and implement community plans. And resident mobility is at the top of the list for Niles residents. The village prioritizes efficient, safe, and sustainable transportation for residents and visitors alike. This includes improving roadways and bike paths, free transportation options, and ensuring that snow and ice are promptly removed. It also means improving accessibility in line with the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA. Niles has a plan to continue making facilities more accessible to residents and to integrate accessibility management software. Their software will help the village to stay up to date on their mobility plans, document progress, estimate costs, and create ADA-compliant procedures. The village also uses routing software to help with snow and ice removal. And last but not least, Niles offers residents a range of free or cheap bus options that encourage them to use public transportation. One program is called the Free Bus, and it runs 7 days a week, stopping at all major shopping centers and public facilities. This is an offering that benefits residents as well as the environment by offering a reasonable alternative to everyone using personal vehicles. And the data show that residents are happy with the results. Through the National Community Survey, residents offer feedback on what should be done, as well as how happy they are with the current state of things. And Niles residents rate almost all aspects of mobility in their village higher than the national average. For this achievement, Niles has received the 2020 Voice of the People Award for Excellence in Mobility. This is the only national award that honors local governments based on feedback from residents. So congratulations to Niles. Our final article today comes from The Atlantic, where writer Olga Kazan says that only your boss can cure your burnout. Burnout is a state of perpetual exhaustion caused primarily by a person's job, and it can lead to a bad attitude, headaches, stomach problems, trouble sleeping, and even shortness of breath. Burnout symptoms can also include exhaustion, cynicism towards work, and reduced professional efficacy. In the context of our current pandemic, the rate of burnout being experienced today is extreme. Kazan says that the mental pressure of living through a mass casualty event is enough by itself to fry even the most zen of brains. Add that to the chaos of our various roles as parents, co-workers, friends, caregivers, and more, all sequestered in our homes for an entire year now, and we have a recipe for overload. Many wellness influencers continue to offer us their suggestions for various life hacks to help us get through these pandemic blues. They offer self-care strategies that include everything from meditation to meal planning. But actual burnout experts say that what we feel is primarily a workplace problem, and that changes to our work are the best way to fix it. Employers are urged to reorganize work environments to prevent as much stress as possible. And employees are urged to speak up about whether they are getting enough sleep, how much time they spend on tasks that they hate, and how much time they spend on tasks they enjoy. When employees speak up and employers listen, systemic changes can be made that improve everyone's quality of life. Employers can reduce hours, grant permission to work from home, or change the workload and the balance of responsibilities. We know that some of our burnout triggers will end with the pandemic, but many will not. Ultimately, we all require fewer demands and more control over how we handle them. Thanks for watching the Polco Minute with me. My name is Angelica Waddell, Director of Communications at Polco National Research Center. Polco makes it easy for local governments to get accurate and reliable feedback from their communities. How are you keeping up with today's engagement issues and trends? Join a panel discussion with other local government leaders and us nationwide. Connect with me on LinkedIn or send us a note at polco.us/contact to let us know if you're in. See you next time.